Things Motoring is owned and brought to you by CHANGECARS, South Africa's trusted online vehicle platform. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just need advice, visit changecars.co.za.
As little boys, and maybe even little girls in the case of Supercar Blondie, we all had that poster of our favorite car on the wall. In my case, it was the iconic Mazda 323. Just kidding. It was a Ferrari 308 made so famous by Magnum. Maybe it was his lifestyle in Hawaii that actually did it for me. My vision and my dream is that All Things Motoring becomes a show of the people and literally for the people. From the outset, the simple aim was to make it easy to watch and follow with no rigid pattern and most definitely no agenda. In this regard, please visit the site allthingsmotoring.co.za and on the Contact Us section, tell us what you would like to see on the show. Equally, if you and 300 of your closest friends would like to be on the show as a guest or a fan, we would value that so much. I must just mention that we get the most incredible support and feedback from KZN. Thank you so much, KZN. I love you. If you have an idea for the show, please be so kind as to let us know. Our success is based on giving you, our valued viewer, what you want. I'm not scared of speed or adventure in any way, and you won't have to beg me to do a feature on your high-powered machine of any kind. Please don't forget to visit our YouTube channel and remember to hit that subscribe button.
This week on All Things Motoring, we surround ourselves with classics, collectibles, and childhood aspirations at a classic car auction. And get great insight into the business of collecting cars with Angus from Lemon Garage. But for now, let's just have a look at some of these beauties. We ventured out to Lemon Garage in Thunderbell Park to chat to Angus and his sons about classics and future classics. Spending the day in the presence of these cars was all the inspiration we needed to start considering our own personal fantasy garage.
I'm sitting chatting with Angus Webber, the owner of Lemon Garage in Thunderbell Park, very close to the shores of the beautiful Vaal River, where I believe every single Joburger should be spending their weekend. Angus, thanks for having us over. Tell us a little bit about Lemon Garage.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, Lemon Garage was something that I've always wanted to do. I think probably my whole life I wanted to do my own business. I've been in the motor industry for most of my life. And yeah, I got an opportunity a few years ago to make a break and to start something of mine.
What you've set up here is truly magnificent. We've been walking around, looking,
Thank you very much.
And we'll share some of the cars with the viewers in a moment.
Okay.
You're very brave. The name Lemon in the motor trade, what made you choose that name?
Well, I think it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek.
Like Naked Insurance.
Naked Insurance. You know, at the time, I thought of a lot of names. Obviously, when you start your business, you write a few names down. I wanted to have something with a fruit or something like apple. You know, what does Google mean? And the name Lemon Garage just resonated and it stuck. And I also realized at the time that obviously if you buy a lemon in the motor industry, you buy a dog.
But here you can buy a lemon with pride.
You can buy a lemon with pride, yes.
A classic car fan, I most definitely am. A classic car expert, I'm really not.
Okay.
That's why we have the pleasure of speaking to you. Just for our viewers, the term classic, what is the age? When does a car become a classic?
A car becomes a classic when it's 25 years old. And after that, I think they call it a vintage.
Angus, you said you've been in the industry your whole life. Now look, you're a lot younger than me. That's fine. I've been in the industry 31 years. How long have you been in it?
Probably about 40 years, so I don't know about younger than me.
I started when I was 18, literally. I left school. I was actually 17. I turned 18 1 month after I started in the motor trade in February '91. Tell us your story.
So I started when I was 16. My brother and my family got involved. They opened a spare shop. And I was 16 years old and I started working in a spare shop. So from a very young age, I started selling parts, clutch plates, pressure plates, bearings, and that's those type of things to clients. Yeah, but I've always, I think from one of my earliest memories is a car, you know, loving a car. Yeah, so I've been in it for a long time. I went to varsity, and after varsity I went back to the family business. At the end of, I think, in the late 90s, business was a bit tough, and I said to my brother that I'll get out of the family business, and I started working at Porsche. Started in the parts department.
Incredible company, that. Incredible.
Very, very good company. Probably the best motoring company. Supposed not to say that, but probably the best motoring company.
We're allowed to be biased.
Best motoring company to work for. Mr. Fenter asked me one day, what do you want to do in this company? I said to him, I want to sell cars. He was a bit surprised, but he let me, he allowed me to, and I started in the pre-owned department. Sold a lot of cars in my first month and my second month. Eventually became the sales manager of the pre-owned department, went on to become the national sales manager for about 15 years of the 17 years that I was there, and enjoyed it immensely.
That's how I met you, because I bought my first Porsche in 2010,
Yep.
and I think we started interacting around that time.
100%, I remember.
But now we're talking about the motor trade many, many years ago. 1991, as I said, as I started, our mechanic says to us, Mike, the clutch is broken on the car. With God as my witness, I go down to the spare shop, I ask, how much will a clutch be? The guy talks to me about the clutch plate, the pressure plate, the thrust bearing. The question I asked was, how much will the actual clutch be? In my mind, I'm thinking of the clutch pedal.
The pedal.
It shows you when you're a little bit wet behind the ears. But sorry, you carry on.
I can tell you another story. When I started in the spares business, my brother took a lot of pleasure in asking me to find a radiator cap for a Beetle. Of course, a Beetle is air-cooled. I went into the catalog, I found one, I came back and said, here it is, here's a radiator cap for a Beetle. And of course, a Beetle doesn't have a radiator or a radiator cap.
Wow. Your family? You got the family involved in the business today?
Yeah, I'm blessed with 3 boys, and all of them also completely crazy about cars, petrol heads. My oldest, Daniel, finished honours in business management, and he's with me full time. The second one, Luke, is busy in his 3rd year CA, and he's doing all the photography and the website for us.
Well, I look forward to doing an interview with him in about 15 or 20 years.
Okay.
Spending time here at Lemon Garage truly is fascinating, learning so much. After the break, we're going to continue the chat with Angus. Welcome back, Angus. Let's pick up where we left off. Looking at these classic cars,
Yeah.
I think the question that a lot of people will ask, one, very expensive, with good reason. The numbers are low, the demand always exceeds the supply. Maintenance. I'm an average guy, I come in, I like the car here. What is maintenance like on these vehicles? Are there specialists that look after this, that you can say, Michael, you can go to Joe and he will do a great job, or is it challenging?
No, it is, like you say, there are a lot of specialists around that for all the different brands. There's people looking at Ferraris. Apart from Ferrari themselves, Porsches, there's a whole lot of specialists around that can look at the car. But then I must also say that Porsche themselves have now got classic departments. In South Africa, there's 2 classic Porsche centers, one in Cape Town and one in Pretoria, where they've got technicians specially trained on the older cars.
Wow.
So it's, in South Africa, it's almost like a new thing, but in Europe, America, classic cars and taking care of classic cars and restoring classic cars, big industry, and it's part of life there.
For sure. Now you talk about America, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Do a lot of cars that are in South Africa, when they get sold, leave our shores? I've heard that obviously because of the exchange rate, because of the quality of our classics, a lot of them being inland.
Yeah.
Remember, in the 50s, 60s and 70s, cars used to rust tremendously. The
Yes.
days of cars rusting are no longer. But do these cars leave our shores?
Yeah, South African cars are very popular with overseas buyers. We've been fortunate to deal with customers in America, in the UK, Singapore, Australia,
Amazing.
New Zealand. But yes, South African cars are very popular. You mentioned the rust, which is a big issue, especially in European countries. Yeah, and obviously right-hand drive, left-hand drive makes a difference for the different countries, but yeah.
Oh, interesting that you bring up left-hand drive, right-hand drive. In the early 90s, I don't know if they were grey imports, but there was a fair amount of, they used to call them left hookers,
Yeah.
that you get in South Africa, and they were essentially worthless. If you found an Alpha Spider that was a left-hand drive compared to right-hand drive, worthless. Today, surely a left-hand drive here that would leave the country would be worth big money going to Germany or to the States
Yeah.
or Canada.
When you say worthless, obviously it was worthless in South Africa because
Yes, correct.
Because people that don't want to go through the schlep of driving on the left-hand side of the road.
And it's dangerous. You can't overtake a truck when you're sitting in the left-hand side of the car. If you don't have a passenger or a co-driver,
Yeah.
you can't overtake.
No, it is difficult. But obviously now the world has become a lot smaller place. It's a little village, and getting a car from South Africa to Australia or from South Africa to the UK,
Is it easy?
it's dead easy. And as cars get older, classic cars specifically, left-hand drive and right-hand drive sort of fizzles out. It's not that important.
There's a
anymore.
demand from a certain sector
yeah.
for both.
If you're a collector, you will look at different things. You will look at the history of the car, the provenance, how many owners has it had, service history and things like that, and whether the steering wheel is on the right-hand side or left-hand side.
So now the $1 million question. I'm a very wealthy guy.
Yeah.
I've got 200,000 Rand to spend. I want to show off. Jokes aside, where does it start? When you're looking for a classic, what is considered a classic? We've discussed the age. Would an Alpha Spider be considered a classic?
Absolutely. A Beetle would be considered a classic. I mean, we sell anything from Beetles to Bentleys to whatever, and Beetles are very, very popular. And you can get a good, you're going to fall off your chair now, but a good Beetle unrestored with good history is a 70,000, 80,000 Rand car.
That is exceptional value. Angus, two things that have always intrigued me. How does a car become an icon? I think of Ferrari 308, automatically Magnum. I think of the Ferrari Testarossa, automatically Miami Vice. When you talk Aston Martin, especially the older stuff, who do you think of? James Bond.
Absolutely.
How important is that in creating a legacy for a car?
Yeah, I think it is very important. I mean, obviously, when you get a car that is exposed like that with a TV show or a movie or advertising or anything like that, it is obviously it boosts the value of the car. If you think of a franchise like Fast and Furious, my sons would never have known what a Datsun was, or any of those cars that they are driving around with if it wasn't for the movie. So. Yeah, the value does get elevated.
Imagine. Now, when you talk about a specific example of a car, you've got two Ferrari 308s, both 1980 model. How important is the ownership history in a car? I would imagine critically important.
Yes, it is. For the true collector, you will look at a few things. Ownership, if you can track who bought the car new, how many owners it's had since. Service history and the repair history are very important on these cars as well. And then mileage. Mileage, even if it's an old car, you don't want to buy a car with like 1 million Ks on it. The lower the mileage, the more appealing the car.
Now, something interesting here, and it would seem the obvious answer, but I don't think it is. Certain cars, if they've got too low mileage, somebody said to me that's actually not good for a car. It hasn't gone through all its teething problems, it hasn't had the overall. So if you've got a Ferrari that is 40 years old and it's got 25,000 Ks, what would be better, 25,000 Ks or 70,000 Ks? I know it seems like an obvious answer.
The 25,000 K car will be better in terms of value. If you want to buy a car that you're going to drive and use as a classic, you would probably want to buy the one that's older, because the The one with the, you know, these classic cars, or any car actually, if a car stands and doesn't get used, it breaks. You know, it's weird how that happens.
Correct.
But it starts leaking oil. You know, it needs to run.
Well, the rubbers need to expand and
Yeah.
contract, the air conditioning, so whatever it is, it just needs to work.
So to answer your question, which one will be best for a collector? The one with the lowest mileage. For somebody who wants to buy a car, have value and use it, enjoy it as a classic, the one with a slightly higher mileage, the one that's been used.
For our viewers, I'm sure they've learned a lot, hopefully a little bit from me, but probably a lot more from you. They're looking to get rid of or sell or part with an old classic. They want to contact you for a valuation. Are you willing to go out to them, do a no obligation valuation?
Yes, absolutely. We do it all the time. A lot of people drive here as well, but we love to go out. And also depending on what type of valuation you want. If you want a more in-depth, we need to get the car into a workshop, get it up in a lift and do a proper inspection, but we would most certainly do that.
So at Lemon Garage, you've got your own workshop facilities?
We've got a small facility that we're busy creating a workshop. We don't have a lift in it at the moment, but yes, we can do it here as well.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Okay.
Angus, we're going to carry this on forever, but definitely we're going to carry it on after a short break. Today we're at Monte Casino at the most incredible classic car auction. Every South African watching this can be so proud. The noise behind me, you hear the auction going on, people walking around. There's a real excitement here, an excitement for good reason. To see all these beautiful old, well-maintained cars, from Alfa Romeos to Ferraris to Porsches to Chevs, Mustangs, it is incredible. So proud to have All Things Motoring here. Listen, I'm a man, so I've always been interested in cars, but I won't pretend that I'm the absolute car fundi on the older stuff. But walking around here, when I look at these Maserati Mirax, they absolutely blow me away. If I could buy any old car, it would be something like this. Here is one of the last Mirax made, the SS. This is worth huge, huge money. But when you consider that a car like this came out in 1973, how is the absolute incredible shape of it unbelievable? Then when you talk about iconic, here's a 2023 Porsche 911, or maybe not 2003. Left-hand drive, actually a 1973, this particular one. But beautiful, and has this car become iconic? Looking at this beautiful 930, this apparently is not an original turbo, but it's got the turbo look, again with the original Porsche wheels, the classic whale tail. How iconic is this? Car like this in the wet, they called this a widowmaker, because you were guaranteed going to see your backside doing that. Now look at this incredible, beautiful Alfa collection. Here we have a 1976 Alfetta. This was the precursor to what we see on our right here, the GTV. Beautiful, original condition. Talking of beautiful Alfas, what happened to the days when you actually knew which one you owned? Here is number 45 of only 100, limited production of the beautiful GTV 2.5. This was, in my opinion, even nicer than the 3-litre GTV, just more drivable, had fuel injection, yes, not quite as valuable, but what a magnificent car. And a particular example that we're looking at here, whoever's the lucky buyer today, wow and wow again. Good day, my name is Thomas Magnum in the beautiful setting of Hawaii. Just kidding, and I wish. Is there any more iconic Ferrari than what is behind me? The 308 GTS from the mid-70s to the mid-80s. Absolutely incredible. 3-litre V8 engine, incredibly small engine, but high revving. What is also amazing to think, when we were growing up, we used to look at a car like this, and this was the top end of performance. Today, a little Polo 1-litre TSI will smash this thing from a robot. But will it ever have this incredible look? No chance. Is there anyone that is not a fan of the Ferrari brand? How can you not be? The iconic prancing horse has just got so much history. For me personally, the older the better, but to a point. I've always been a passionate lover of the 348. To the best of my knowledge, and Ferrari aficionados will tell you, the 348 is not the most popular. I just don't get why. I love the look, I love these side straights, absolutely amazing. And on my right here is a beautiful example of the model.
As you can see, there is a flavor for every taste. Collecting is about your personal preference and what makes you happy. So make sure you head out to the next event and start planning your personal perfect collection.
Believe it or not, I've never been in a limousine. It's always been a dream. Today, will you make my dream come true?
Of course I will, for a friend like you.
Thank you.
Anytime. And
As a respected, as a respected motoring journo, hi sir. I'm driving. I always drive.
I know that.
I wonder if this has got soft closed doors. Not quite. So I'm walking around with my boy. He's 11 years old. I've given him a budget. Told him he can have any car he wants here for around 150,000 Rand. Jaden, do you think we're going to find anything here for 150,000?
Maybe.
If you could tell any young kid of 11 years old today, what should they look for when buying a car? What has your dad always told you? What's the most important thing when buying a car?
Mileage?
Correct. Is year important or is it mileage?
It's both. Mileage and year.
But if you could only choose, which is the most important?
Mileage.
That's it. What is our very, very best holiday? Where do we go?
Kruger National Park?
Could you imagine going to Kruger in one of these in the 1960s or 1970s? No aircon, no power steering, no electric charging point for your phone or your cooler box. What do you think?
I think you'd die of the heat.
Should Dad buy it?
Maybe.
Dad can't afford it. The caliber of car that has been on display here today is so incredible. The company that has put this together is called Creative Rides. Take a bow. It is incredible. Next time you hear they're having an auction, come see it live.
Next week on All Things Motoring, we continue to chat classics and future classics and what to look for when considering your personal collection. Can't wait. See you next week.
All Things Motoring is owned and brought to you by CHANGECARS, the platform buyers trust with good reason. CHANGECARS works exclusively with the best manufacturer-approved dealerships. There's no safer online vehicle platform in South Africa.